All right. Three months ago, I only knew Bark by name as an organization that assisted a family friend's daughter, as she had been using their services for a number of years. Since then, I've been fortunate enough to learn more about the organization after research and after some very productive meetings with Mimi and Dr. Pfeiffer. On Bark's behalf, I have attempted to create new contacts, members, and/or opportunities for the organization in hopes of encouraging involvement and promoting Bark as a necessary and needed part of the community. As a liaison between the people and organizations I've contacted and Bark, I feel I owe you all an explanation of the results of my work, especially since my efforts will hopefully result in new contacts that will be more closely related with you in the future. Before I speak of the results, I'd like to go over the particular aspects of my efforts in promoting Bark as they relate to my class assignments this semester. In my business and professional communications class, each student was charged with the task of fulfilling a community service requirement. The purpose of this was to make good use of our skills learned in our course via providing a valuable service to a local nonprofit organization. During my preparation for this service, I learned about the CCD model of communication. The CCD is an abbreviation for choose, create, coordinate, and deliver. This model helped me develop an awareness of possible messages and interpretation of those messages. For both my interaction here with you at Bark as well as the organizations I've spoken to, I began by first choosing a goal, next creating an appropriate message and coordinating it with those involved, and finally delivering that message. These learned methods and ideas allowed me to present myself well while providing specific services based on the needs of each audience. The process of interaction at Bark consisted of choosing the goal of assisting your organization based off its needs by way of offering my time, as well as a persuasive and informative presentation. In arriving at this goal, I considered and prepared a relevant resume and inquiry requesting involvement. I then considered Bark's needs of promoting awareness and providing speaking engagements, and I did so through a needs assessment. I created a message partially through this presentation as well as through my verbal and nonverbal communication without you through the semester. In order to coordinate, I worked with Dr. Pfeiffer and Mimi to organize meetings, interact through emails, and converse through phone calls. Finally, in delivering my message, I focused on both action and providing information about the results of my actions. Your feedback throughout these last couple of weeks has had a major effect on my conscious communication with you. The skills I learned throughout the CCD method helped me relate to you here at Bark in order to set the foundation for my service to other organizations on your behalf. After meeting with you, Dr. Pfeiffer and Mimi, and presenting you with my initial inquiry and resume, I was strongly encouraged that I may indeed be of some use to the organization and could apply my skills to accomplish my work successfully. Based off the needs assessment, the first aspect of my project was a persuasive presentation to a group of mothers of preschoolers called MOPS. In carrying out this message, I again employed the CCD method of communication by preparing a needs assessment, a research interview and script, and a persuasive presentation about Bark in order to bring awareness and encourage involvement in its programs. Here I consciously focused on the needs of these young mothers, which consisted of advocating for and encouraging child development, as well as other mothers and their families. Although the first aspect was a big responsibility for me since I was publicly speaking on behalf of Bark, the second aspect was no less important. This part revolved around the current needs of Bark and consisted of bringing awareness and encouraging each group I found to host a speaking engagement for Bark's Speakers Bureau. Here I also connected with the CCD method by choosing the groups whose needs were appropriate for an inquiry, creating an inquiry script, coordinating my contact with a suitable member of each organization, and finally delivering a presentation to them. I've completed both of these aspects as they relate to my class and its assignments and would like to inform you of the results. Throughout these last couple weeks especially, I did contact and make presentations to many organizations about Bark, and although I wasn't able to involve all of them in some aspect of involvement, I was successful in encouraging almost half to be involved in the future. During my presentation to MOPS, I was nervous and didn't come across as at ease as I would have liked, but I did enlist future involvement on a number of occasions nonetheless. I count this interest in my notable consideration of children due to the fact that I am a mother and one who cares about the developmentally disabled. At the end of my presentation, I got a chance to speak to some mothers who told me about their families and how BARC might be able to help them. One woman discussed her disabled sister and how her family had been looking for a way in which that sister could learn the everyday skills that family thought she was capable of but didn't know how to teach her themselves. Another mother discussed her concern about her daughter's speech issues and hadn't sought help yet because she had been afraid her daughter might be labeled as she was assisted and would always be treated differently. This woman was actually the woman who was the leader of the group, so that was really nice to be able to help her as well since she helped me out. In both cases, I explained how BARC might be able to help and discuss the programs that could be appropriate for these women's family members. I'm first and foremost happy that BARC will hopefully be able to help these families and children who need assistance, but I was also thrilled that more than one audience member wanted to become a member that day. After my presentation, a couple women did sign up to become members, as I had hoped. I'm confident that they will be connected to BARC through their membership contributions in the future, which could be beneficial to both those women and BARC as an organization. Although my presentations to MOPS was helpful, I also focused a lot on a direct request from Dr. Pfeiffer regarding future venues for BARC Speakers Bureau. Due to the nature of it, I'm less sure about the results of the second part of the project, but I'm hopeful that some future resources will be available to BARC because of it. Through this part of my assignment, I contacted about 50 organizations after careful research, and about half of them showed interest in learning more about BARC, either through additional information or eventual presentations from BARC Speakers Bureau. A couple of groups stated how they did think they might have appropriate venues to host a speaker, as they did have groups that met throughout the week for just such occasions. The other half of the groups I contacted were either already involved, claimed they had no need of further information, or merely didn't respond to my inquiry, as sometimes happens. Although researching and contacting these groups was a significant step, it really was just the first one in what will hopefully be a lasting involvement. Those who showed interest will be mailed more information, which we're going to work on today, about BARC through pamphlets and newsletters, and will be contacted if needed through follow-up conversations. I will also provide you here at BARC with a complete list of those I've contacted and the outcomes in case of future reference. I'm grateful to Mimi, especially for helping me gather these packets of information together and taking the time to assist me in my project. As well as Mimi, I'm also grateful to you, Dr. Pfeiffer, for assisting, encouraging, and allowing me the opportunity to use my skills and apply myself as an honorary member of BARC. Since that time when I did have that first meeting here and was granted permission to work with you, I have decided to become a member myself after discovering what a wonderful, valuable, and necessary organization this is. I only hope that this service I've provided will prove fruitful in bringing about future awareness of BARC, involvement with its services, and venues for its Speakers Bureau. I really am grateful to you for allowing me your time, your consideration, and your encouragement. I hope in the future to remain closely related to BARC, its employees, and its members in order that I may be of some additional service as needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, very nice presentation. Very comprehensive.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Very thorough.